sever it just as quickly. But it wouldn't have. But he's given me a full year, and he's been trying to deal with this for a full year. How much time would he?
Good morning, and welcome to Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. My name is Becky Brandt, and I'm a member of this congregation. This morning, the Reverend Ian White Maher is in the pulpit, and we have a trio of musicians, our own Ria Yang, joined by Una Kim and Emily DeVela. We appreciate them sharing their talents with us this morning. I have one announcement this morning, and that is a reminder of the summer spiritual development seminar that'll be held tomorrow evening by Zoom with Ebony C. Peace, Living into the Eighth Principle, Reconsidering Land Acknowledgement. That's on Zoom tomorrow night, and if you're interested, the link to the Zoom is on our website. One other item, it's not an announcement, but it's of note. Today is our own Ralph Slosson's 96th birthday. So whether you are a visitor exploring the possibilities of MVUC or are a longtime member, know that you are welcome, and we're glad you're here. Our church is offering our Sunday services both in person and virtually. So whether you're here in the chapel or joining us from home, you are welcome. We gather virtually and in person to recommit ourselves to the mission of this church, to support one another on our spiritual journeys, to work for justice, to care for the earth, and to build the common good. It is good to be together. Now, let us turn our hearts and minds to worship. We come to the morning offering where MVUC asks each of us to show our spiritual and material generosity. Each week, we share the plate with a charitable organization that shares our values. This week, we are sharing the plate with Together We Bake. Together We Bake is a second chance job training program for women transitioning out of prison, facing long-term unemployment, or experiencing homelessness. Together We Bake's mission is to help women gain self-confidence, transferable workforce skills, and invaluable hands-on experience, which will allow them to find sustainable employment and to move towards self-sufficiency. Together We Bake shares MVUC's values of justice, equity, and compassion, and works to make those values a reality for women who need our help. At MVUC, we ask our ushers to collect our offering early in the service to create physical and emotional space for all to participate in our meditative candle lighting without distractions later in the service. I invite you to contribute whatever you're most comfortable with to Together We Bake and this church community. We're grateful for your donation. And now will the ushers please come forward for the morning offering. Please rise in body or spirit and join in the singing of our opening hymn, number 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire. You may be seated. Our chalice lighting this morning is entitled Love Remains at the Center by Eric Hepburn. Love remains at the center. We light this flame to remind us love is the center. As we grow and connect, mature and deepen, love remains the center. When the light of truth burns all else away, love remains. And now will you please join me in reciting our covenant? It can be found in your hearts and in your order of service. Love is the teaching of this church. The quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve life in community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony. This is our covenant with each and with all. And now please join in the singing of our meditative hymn, number 1010 in the Teal hymnal, We Give Thanks.
I invite you now to find your breath. A deep breath in, a deep breath out. Maybe you find your feet on the floor. You find yourself centered in your seat. Maybe you feel your back against the back of the seat. Just coming into this moment, nothing is out of place. The rustle of papers, the sounds of children, everything is just as it is. Just rest in your breath. Allowing yourself just to feel this moment. Feedback of the microphone. Everything is just as it is. We want to make life feel imperfect, like it should be something other. The feedback of the microphone is not a problem. It's not. It is just as it is. Today we say goodbye. I think the microphone is perfect. If you are ready and if you are willing and if you feel so inclined, we're going to play some music. And I invite you to come forward and light a candle of joy, a candle of sorrow, a candle of gratitude, and a candle of grieving, a candle of love.
And now let's please join in the singing of our children out to their RE classes.
Maybe it's me. Which would you like? Do you want me to use this one or you want me to use that one? This one? Which one's better? This one? Thank you for everything you do. Truly. It's hard. It's really hard. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though as for that, the passing there had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black, while I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. The poet, Robert Frost, is an intimate figure in the Yankee culture I grew up in. He's part of the stories and the lore we tell about ourselves. He stands among the saints, major and minor, with Emerson, Thoreau, Dickinson, Plath, Hawthorne, and Sexton. And my family has lived in New Hampshire for 12 generations, although now some have strayed as far as Maine and Massachusetts. One cousin drove out to New Mexico to find an arid mountain to live on and has never looked back. We just hear stories of him now. But I'm sure that my cousin, like me, remembers hearing Frost's poems when he was young. There's something so quintessentially New England about his voice, and I would say New Hampshire in particular. The first of his 4 Pulitzers came for a collection simply titled New Hampshire, and he owned and worked 2 dairy farms there in Derry and Franconia, towns that are part of my personal geography. His poems told the story of my culture, of my people, which made me all the more surprised when I learned, while reading about him, that he was born in San Francisco. San Francisco. So big, so foreign to the Yankee sensibility that he captured so well. In all fairness, he did move to Massachusetts when he was 11, but still, it just seemed weird to me. San Francisco, that's Allen Ginsberg territory. But that's how it is when you have a hometown poet, someone who tells your story. You think you know them because they know you, where you come from, who your people are. Whose woods these are, I think I know. His house is in the village, though. He will not see me stopping here to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer to stop without a farmhouse near, between the woods and frozen lake, the darkest evening of the year. He gives his harness bells a shake to ask if there is some mistake. The only other sounds the sweep of easy wind and downy flake. The woods are lovely, dark and deep, but I have promises to keep. And miles to go before I sleep. And miles to go before I sleep. I grew up in a house where I could not see my neighbors. My best friend lived across the woods, and my parents thought nothing of me at 5, walking out there alone to meet him near the ponds that appeared every spring and dried out every fall, the frogs burrowing underground each winter only to reappear miraculously as hundreds and thousands of tadpoles. A few summers ago, I taught my niece to catch frogs in one of the same ponds that I did. A frog is an amazing creature. It is pure summertime for me. Living in New Hampshire for 12 generations means that we too remember the Civil War and have the daguerreotypes to prove it. The Union blue looks black and gray, but I know what colors those are. I was raised with stories of Andersonville and how my ancestors almost died there. My favorite one shows one of the greats in his later years, not young and handsome anymore, his beard snow white, crow's feet around his eyes, but sitting up, back straight, still wearing his uniform, proud of what he'd done. Yankee was never a bad word, not for us. Which is, I suppose, why I still remember the day that my sister called me a New Yorker, which is not New England. And I wrinkled my nose in distaste, and if I'm honest, it hurt my heart. I mean, I enjoyed living there, mostly, and I have often been called to the road. The day I walked out of the house I grew up in and moved to Spain, just barely 18, is still a vivid memory, a transition into manhood. New Hampshire felt too small for me, and I had to get out. College would be there in a few years. At least I waited, I said, until I graduated high school, not like my grandfather who quit at 15 and jumped a freighter to Venezuela, bringing back gifts of iridescent butterfly wings from the magical beyond. New Hampshire is small. Sometimes it feels suffocating. Everyone knows your business. But a New Yorker, it felt like she'd revoked my identity, my authentic claim, my story about where I come from. I may have left New Hampshire, but it never left me. And there's nothing more important as your Genesis story. How God made you, where God made you, in whose image God made you. And God did not make me a New Yorker. I just live here, I snapped. Even after 12 years and 3 boroughs, I still found taking cabs financially obscene and a violation of the prudence with which I was raised, even if I sometimes still took them. But she noticed a difference, I guess. All of her best friends are the ones she went to high school with, and they still go on vacation together. And my mom, now 80, still takes trips with her friend from high school. I don't even like being Facebook friends with the 4 who were able to track me down. I changed my name a little bit when I left. I started using my middle name, my mother's name, both to tie me to home and, if I'm honest, to make me a little different. At one point in my early 20s, I thought using 3 names made me sound a little more sophisticated, a little less country, less like a kid from what is considered a big town in New Hampshire, but is still barely 20,000 people. So maybe there's some truth in my sister's claim. But still, I remember. My sorrow when she's here with me thinks these dark days of autumn rain are beautiful as days can be. She loves the bare, the withered tree. She walked the sodden pasture lane. Her pleasure will not let me stay. She talks and I'm fain to list. She's glad the birds are gone away. She's glad her simple worsted gray is silver now with clinging mist. The desolate, deserted trees, the faded earth, the heavy sky, the beauties she so truly sees. She thinks I have no eye for these and vexes me for reasons why. Not yesterday I learned to know the love of bare November days before the coming of the snow, but it were vain to tell her so, and they are better for her praise. And fall has always been my favorite season, the beauty of the dying back, necessary for new growth, has always struck me as the richest time. The crisp air, apple cider, and fallow farms live in me as vibrantly as when I last saw them in earnest 30 years ago, when I walked out of New England and my parents turned my bedroom into an office. The internet is full of critics who say most people misunderstand Frost's poem, The Road Not Taken. They say he was being ironic. They say Frost deliberately misled his audience, that he was being mischievous, that the sincerity and weight of the message is actually Frost just poking fun at those who think trying to fashion a way in the world actually makes a difference in who they are. Others say it's about looking back with regret. Perhaps. But I find nothing more boring in this world than a clever cynic. For me, it is the basest form of banality, and it reeks of death. And one of the things that has bothered me most about our contemporary culture is that for every interesting artist, there seems to be two clever cynics. And there is a great push from within to agree and conform to this cynicism, to say that art is great when it is not, and to say that it is not when it is. And I'm sure that I've done it myself when feeling particularly insecure. And yet I love the energy of those who are really trying, those who try to say something with their lives. These too are my people. People who were raised on stories of grandfathers who hopped on freighters and saw wonders they could never really describe to those back home. And I said, that life is for me, the authentic life, the life I am called to. It is not that the less trod path is any richer. There are good reasons to go where others have gone before. More important is to know why you are going. More important is knowing that the choosing is not about what you'll see, but about the authenticity of your choice. We all have a calling in life, a calling from God, a sacred path that we have been asked to follow. We have no choice about this. You have a call. The road less traveled is less about doing something new and different, something that makes you stand apart so that you can be noticed, and more about doing what you have been called to do with this sacred life of yours. Following the cynics is easy. Following your call is the path of the Redeemer. And maybe you stay in the city where you were born, and maybe you live forever on the road with no city ever bearing your name. It matters not. The yellow wood is a mythic place. It exists within you, and every day you walk out into it. I do not believe the cynics. Clever people are tedious. Be anything but clever if you can. Today is the last day I worship with you. For a year, we have walked out into the yellow wood together. Our great attempt to be authentic. Was it perfect? Are there things I regret? Of course, and of course not, both work as an answer for each of these questions. But mostly, I thank you for just walking with me. And here, our paths begin to fork. I heading down that path, and you heading down another. There is a texture of the fall season, even in these hot, humid days, where things are dying back so new growth can come. But I will remember you always. People who stood by the pond with me, catching frogs, and talking about the wonder of life, of God and calling, of passion and beauty, of joy, even as we grieve. You are my iridescent butterfly wings held gently aloft for my friends to see. I will tell them stories of you. Perhaps they will be moved by my words, but will never quite understand the wonders that I have seen in your eyes and in your hearts. The beautiful shimmer of lovers. The night I pledged to be a minister, I was just 21 years old, and I was visiting two friends. And in a room full of rugs and cushions, we ate dessert, we drank red wine, we smoked a little of that reefer, and we read T.S. Eliot's 4 quartets to each other. And maybe it was the wine, maybe it was the reefer, maybe it was God, and maybe it was you calling me even then from this holy hill. But we gathered in a solemn circle and pledged our lives to the ministry and to those willing to leave home and seek because they heard stories of the magical beyond of an authentic life. And in that moment, I pledged myself to you, my darlings. You too are my people. And you always will be. Eliot concluded his epic with these lines. What we call the beginning is often the end, and to make an end is to make a beginning. The end is where we start from. We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive where we started and know the place for the first time. So I thought I might conclude my epic similarly, ending where we began, which is also where we start from. Do not stand idle, as they call you non-believers. Never tolerate accusations of faithlessness. You are people of great faith. There are people in this world gripped with nihilism, and their solution to their suffering is to cause things to burn. In spite of all that we see in this world, the greed, the anger, the indifference, the projection, the hypocrisy, in spite of all of this, you still believe in human goodness, in human potential. You still believe in our redemption, not because some God is coming from the heavens, but because God is becoming through your hands and your feet and your adoration of what is sacred. You are the lovers this world so desperately hungers for. Hide away no longer, my darlings. Remember where you come from. Cherish the sacrifices made by the ancestors to bring you to this moment. Sit up with a straight back, proud of who you are. But give time for the quiet, so in the hush of it all, you can hear your name being called. Say something with your lives. Choose away from cynics and nihilists. Choose the less worn path of the Redeemers. And bless this world with hope. This is the path of our people. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other for just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though, as for that, the passing there had warned them both really about the same. And both that morning equally lay in leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Our final hymn is number 131, Love Will Guide Us.
Please join as we say the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Source of life, God, my darling. Inspire us to love one another, to hold each other in our breast, caring for the worth and the dignity of the person whose eyes we are staring into. Awaken us to the great interdependence of all of life. Beyond right and wrong, beyond what I think and you think, where we are just together in the presence. And give us courage to do what we must, to bring hope in the world, to turn away from easy cynicism, and to love. I will miss you very, very much.